guys, welcome back to The Fishing Teacher, and appreciate you guys swinging by the channel. We'll check out the episode today. We're going to be talking about balsa crankbaits today. Balsa wood crankbaits versus plastic. I really want to go over this in detail a little bit about when you still want to use a balsa crankbait over a plastic one. A lot of people don't use them anymore. They think they're something from the past. But actually, guys, this thing is just as effective now as it's ever been. The problem you've had, or not a problem, but the reality of what you've had is there's so many different lure manufacturers that have come up with plastic options to it because they're cheaper to make, that you just don't have the balsa options today. So we're going to talk about that in today's episode here. And also, guys, Tackle Warehouse does offer several different balsa line of crankbaits. I'm going to put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of the video and link a few of my favorite balsa baits they have at Tackle Warehouse, so you can use that link if you want to get them. Much appreciated with that. And also, guys, real quick reminder, you guys heard me talking about this. I just want to reiterate how important it is to use scent on your lures. And we've been talking about this the last 6 months. If you want to try some scent that works for sure and it's not a gimmick, give this Baitpop a try, guys. I've been using it for 6 months. It's got real fish, real amino acids in it. Comes in a bunch of different flavors and colors. I'll have this in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of this video too. Just put just a little bit on your finger. It stays on for like 20 or 30 minutes. You can just rub a little bit in there. And definitely have noticed a big difference in my bites using it versus not, so appreciate that. Okay, guys, balsa crankbaits. This is typical balsa crankbait. They've been around forever. The old balsa bees were very popular back in the 70s, and they pretty much endured all the way up until the early 2000s. And about the early to mid 2000s, you started having hard bait manufacturers came out with plastic versions of the square bill. Now, prior to that, like a square bill crankbait was nothing but balsa all the time, like the Bagley, series. But almost every company now has got a plastic version. And don't get me wrong, plastic works good. And there are situations that I use plastic. I use plastic probably more than I do balsa. But I want to talk about specifically when I do like a balsa crankbait over a plastic one. That's sort of what we want to visit here in the video. Okay, now I've got a lot of time and a lot of experience with this as far as these crankbaits because I've been using them forever. And also, I think that if you can get them going on a balsa crankbait, I think they produce bigger fish. I mean, I look at if the number of fish that I have caught with a plastic crankbait versus a balsa crankbait, specifically a square bill I'm talking about, maybe, occasionally something like a DB3 that runs deeper. But I can pretty much guarantee, guys, that if you can get them to bite a balsa crankbait, those fish average about half a pound bigger. I don't really know why. It's got to have something to do with the characteristic of the bait, but they definitely produce bigger fish. A couple different probably reasons why. A balsa crankbait, it pushes water differently. It runs differently in the water just because of the inherent nature of the wood over the plastic. Another thing with it, it's silent. And a lot of times a balsa crankbait, some of them are not, the specs on them are not the same. In other words, there's some irregularities in the design of them simply because they're wood. Different wood maybe have different levels of buoyancy in it. But I know for sure when you get a good balsa crankbait that runs really good and looks good in the water, it's worth its weight in gold as far as catching fish on it. Okay, here is when I use a balsa. A lot of times, this is going to be sort of all over the board. There's really not like rhyme or reason to it, but here is the situations that I have specifically caught more fish on a balsa crankbait than I have a plastic in my own situation. And it's sort of all over the place, but here they are. Number one is in the early spring when that water temperature is sort of like in the mid 50s. There's something about that window, like right in the pre-spawn, like right before the fish start spawning, that if you get a situation where you have some off-colored water, and that's what balsa is, guys. Balsa is a off-colored water bait. This is something that I don't use balsa crankbaits if the water visibility is over 2 feet. I want to have that water visibility about 1 foot for a balsa bait to work. But there's something about that water temperature window when that water is in the 50s that I catch a lot of fish in the pre-spawn with it, and the same in the fall. If I can get a situation where the water is in the 50s, like, in the mid to upper 50s, whether it's in April or March or November, December, that is a really good way to catch them. Now, most of the time when I'm fishing the balsa, when that water temperature's in the 50s, I'm cranking rock with it. Cranking off-colored rock, off-colored water rock. Riprap banks, rocky banks. They can be gravel, they can be flat, they can be bluff. I've even caught them on bluff banks with it. Just some type of rock when that water is in the 50s in correlation with that water visibility about a foot or a foot and a half. And also it helps, it seems like it helps if you have a little bit more of a nasty day, like maybe windy, partly cloudy or cloudy. That's when I do really good on the balsa. The second situation I use it, and I've caught a ton of fish on it, is in the heat of the summer when it is just stinking hot. Like right now, you know, time of filming this video, our water temperature's in the 80s. It's the end of July, and this is a really good time to fish a balsa crankbait. But instead of on the rock, I transition to wood, and I fish it a little bit differently. When the water's in the 50s, I'll fish it with like a medium stop and go retrieve. And a lot of times I'll even put a little weight on it, like suspend strips, so it doesn't float up quite as much. But in the summertime of the year, I'm burning it around wood, deflecting off of that wood. So I want to have shallow cover. I want to have, you know, lay down trees, logs, stumps, you know, dock pilings, whatever the wood may be, in water visibility about a foot or foot and a half, in no more than 4 foot of water. And I'm going to make multiple presentations to try to deflect that bait off of wood as much as I can to create a reaction strike with a medium fast stop and go retrieve. I'm fishing it faster than medium, but sort of a medium fast. And the whole key in the summertime on that balsa wood crankbait is to saturate your area with multiple presentations. So let's say, for example, you got a nice lay down tree in the water. I may pull up to that tree and I may make 50 casts in there with that balsa crankbait. I'll come around it from every different angle that I can. I'll make multiple casts. Say if there's a really good thick limb coming down, I may make 10 casts in a row down the side of that thick limb, because those fish are there. They're just a little bit less aggressive in the heat of the summertime. And that balsa wood, deflecting off of that wood and ricocheting and coming back to center, it just triggers a lot of fish. It triggers more fish than you can catch on a plastic crankbait with that. But those are the two primary ones, guys. Those are the two scenarios, you know, water temperatures in the 50s, maybe low 60s, something like that. And then again in the heat of the summer. And the difference is I'll throw the biggest square bill that I can when that water's in the 50s and low 60s, like the 3-inch size. And then in the summertime, I like to downsize. I'll put on a smaller square bill, or balsa square bill, maybe a 1 or 2 size with it. So you will catch more fish in the summertime in that same scenario if you downsize your bait. But anyway, guys, give it a try. It's worth to have a few of them in your box. Anytime you're catching them on a square bill, sometimes it's good to try the balsa if you're using plastic, and sometimes it makes a big difference. Again, I'll put that Tackle Warehouse link in the description to those balsa crankbaits, and hope it helps you guys catch something.